Welcome to the Online Learning Center. I'm Coach Mark Evans. Our Evans Coaching videos on YouTube consists of 6 different categories, a library of technique coaching for swimming, cycling, and running. In every video, my goal is to present the information as if I'm working with you one-on-one. And yes, while we'll include some graphics and photographs and videos inside a video from time to time, the primary goal is to present the material as if I'm working with you one-on-one. And today's video is swimming as it relates to gliding or not to glide, extending or have a stretched out stroke, or perhaps you might have heard about front quadrant swimming. If you take a few moments and Google, if you will, on YouTube, gliding and freestyle and stretched out and streamlining and balance, what you're going to see is you're going to see a representation of a particular kind of swimming stroke that while it looks good, it is not necessarily teaching you, in my opinion, what is essential for optimal freestyle technique, and that is a continuation of momentum, a continuation of propulsion. In fact, I wrote an article several years ago about the continuum and momentum in swimming, and you can get that article off of my evanscoaching.com website. The proponents of gliding talk about a long and a stretched out and a balance point in their swimming. And yes, they have that. But another thing that they have, and you can readily see, is that there is deceleration at a given point in their strokes. And that these long and stretched out and streamlined videos provide a slower stroke rate. So yes, their distance per stroke or their strokes per lap are less, but their distance per stroke is greater. But what else? The velocity is actually slower. So while you're achieving less strokes and greater distance per stroke, you're also getting less velocity under those kinds of circumstances. A more experienced swimmer, and generally most of those individuals in these videos that show that long balanced stroke, have the experience and the kinetic awareness and the body position already to sustain a very level and prolonged position in the water. But one thing that's for sure is that with an extension or an increased extension or laying out or stretching out, there can only be deceleration at the end of that. So the longer you extend and stretch out, the greater your deceleration is going to be. So what they're missing is, in my view, is the exchange between propulsion of the stroking arm and the extending arm. And that's where I'd like to take most of this video here for you, is to teach you how you do glide or you do extend, but at what point is that phase ended and the other began. So is the stroking arm finishes, what happens to the extending arm at that time? And it really is this simple, is that the catch begins when the stroking arm completes its propulsive phase. It's very, very simple. It's at that precise moment of release that the stroking arm or that the extending arm should begin its high elbow, vertical forearm, open armpit positioning, And it should have been, and it should do that in a gradual manner. So it's actually arcing and moving forward, but it's not entering its catch or propulsive phase until the other arm has finished its propulsive phase. So it's a continuum of movement. There is no stopping and no gliding. In fact, look at Thorpe, look at Phelps, look at Hackett, look at any of world-class swimmers on YouTube that you want, or even read McGlisco's work on swimming, and you will see that there is very little, if any, gliding. What you might misinterpret as a glide is that, yes, this forward arm is extending, but you need to be paying attention to the propulsive or the pulling arm. And once that is completed, you're not going to see any of these world-class swimmers extend beyond that. Otherwise, they would begin in immediate deceleration, and none of them do that, of course. So how might we teach you how to do this? And a drill or a technique is actually referred to as kayak swimming. And one way to demonstrate that is by taking a dowel or even a paddle and simply paddling along. And what you're going to notice is that when I anchor and I release, so when I'm anchoring on one side, I'm releasing on the other. And that's the technique, and that's the concept, and that is what most world-class swimmers are doing, is that they are timing their extension and the beginning of the catch to the release on the pulling arm. So it's really important that you get that concept, and actually doing this particular movement dry land, or even at the side of the pool, you know, between sets, trying to get that tempo. And what we're also seeing, and I've talked about this in other videos, is the concept of an early catch and an early release. And that's basically what we're looking for in kayaking. And an early release is going to occur more mid-torso than fully past the hip. The reason for that is that you want to make, because the propulsive phase has ended in or about somewhere during this mid-torso. So if that is the case, then we want to be, in order to sustain our momentum, we want to make sure that you're catching the water at that precise moment. So try these kayak drills. Think about a circle from your shoulders to your stroking arm, and if you were looking down on the water and there was a circle, you could actually try to make sure that your hands are entering or exiting that circle as opposed to beyond it. And that should also give you a visualization of how to improve that. So hoping that this video helps you make all of your swimming movements better than the last. I'm Coach Mark Evans. Thanks so much for watching, and we really appreciate your subscriptions. Take care.